Hi, friends. Welcome to the call today. I'm so dang excited to spend some time with you. I just got butterflies because guess what? The name of this call, how many of you know that my heart is pounding because this is my jam? Make your own luck. What? Like, yes. I'm so excited to share some thoughts with you and learn together because honestly, I want to hear from you. There's some things that I feel like we have great ideas as a whole, and I'd love to hear from you. So I'm excited for you to share what comes up for you. I want to encourage you to have a paper and a pen so that you can write down the thoughts that you get and your own little intuition whispering to you. I want you to capture those things on paper, okay? It's so important to capture those thoughts because I'm going to waterfall on you. I'm going to share some of my tools, my experience, my stories, but my intention is that it's going to spark something in you that is your own answer, right? Because I believe you have your own answers. We're all just sharing ideas that help spark those. So please make sure you're ready with that. And I am so excited to get into it. So first and foremost, we're going to have a sacred 60. Who knows what a sacred 60 is? Raise your hand if you know what that is. If you don't, if there's nothing else you get out of this call, I want you to commit to doing a sacred 60 on the daily. It is, how many of you have 60 seconds of free time every day? Raise your hand if you have 60 seconds of free time. If you don't, you're gonna need more help than this call. 60 seconds of free time. Okay, I want to challenge you and me to take 60 seconds to just freaking breathe every day. 60 seconds to take deep, intentional breaths. Put some beautiful music on. If you want to do more, cool. But let's just commit to only 60, because do you feel like you can be consistent with 60 seconds a day? Who's committing to 60 seconds a day? Raise your hand. Of breathing, just breathing. Because that honestly can sometimes do the trick. So we're going to do 60 seconds of breathing. I want you to get present, because guess what? The more present you are for the next 53 minutes, the more impact you're going to get out of this time together. Do you know that? Being present is the secret to everything. So I want you to close your eyes. I'm not going to close my eyes because I got to lead you on this. But I want you to close your eyes and I want you to turn off your phone, turn off your brain. We're going to just kind of wind it down a little bit. I want you to get comfortable. Whether you need to lay down, that's cool. If you want to just sit in your chair, but I want you to just take really deep, intentional breaths and just focus on the sensation of the air coming through your nose, how it feels inside your nose, and then let it fill up your tummy very last. Just notice what it feels like to feel your body taking in oxygen. And then how it feels to let it go. Just notice what it feels like. Maybe notice what it feels like to feel your legs in the chair. Notice what your hands feel like. Maybe your feet are on the floor. Maybe you have shoes on. Kind of wiggle your toes and see what it feels like to be in your toes right now. Presence everything that's brought you to this point today. All the chaos. Maybe you had crazy kids, crazy coworkers, crazy boss, crazy spouse. Whatever it is, presence all of that chaos. And then take a deep breath and feel all that chaos. Hold your breath for just maybe 3 or 4 seconds. And then on the exhale, I want you to intentionally let that chaos go with your breath. Let it go. Make a sound. You're muted. I want you to make an audible sound, like a sigh. Let all that chaos go, because that's done. That was this morning. It's actually done. What you have right now is just now. And you're here in your body. All you're doing is breathing oxygen. Your heart is beating all by itself, and you're just noticing all these sensations in your body. Take 3 more deep breaths. Hold it. Fill your lungs and your tummy full of air, and then feel the release of just letting it go on the exhale. Make a sound. Let yourself make some audible noise as you let it go. 2 more. Feels good to just be right here, right now, doesn't it? Last deepest breath you've taken since this entire week. Deepest, most cleansing breath. And then biggest let go with the biggest audible sound. Okay. All right. Come back to the room, wiggle your toes, blink your eyes open. And here we are together right now. Isn't that so exciting? It's 11:11, make a wish. So literally, we are going to be present right here, right now. I want you to pick up your phone and turn off your notifications, like put it on do not disturb, so that you can be fully here. Because I'm telling you, I am telling you. Are you guys listening? Look at my eyes. This stuff I want to share with you is simple. How many of you love simple? Raise your hand if you are down with simple. But it is the real shit. Like, this is the real stuff, you guys. This is the power tools that when you practice this and you start small and then you keep doing it over and over, guess what? You will transform your world in every area to the version of you that you really want to be. I'm not messing around. How many of you know that's true? These tools are real and they will transform your life if you utilize them. Do tools work if you let them sit on a workbench? Are they going to work for us? If you pick up the tool and you keep practicing and you are willing to quote unquote fail at this, but start small, I promise you, you can create absolute magic in your life. You can create your own luck, but the word luck makes my bum go tight because there's no such thing as luck, right? But I want you to be fully here, fully present, and all in. Who's committed? I want you to comment in the chat. Who's committed to be all in, present, right here for the next 48 minutes with me, with you, with all of us? Who's committed? Right? I'm committed in the chat if you are all in. Because you saying that and then hearing yourself say that is going to lock it in for you. Okay. I love it. Keep it coming. This is for you to say that. So you hear yourself typing that and saying that, right? And you're going to keep your word to yourself. Okay, let's get started. My friends, set an intention for the next 48 minutes. What do you want to create? Maybe it's a word. Maybe it's a sentence. Maybe it's something that you're wanting to get over. Maybe it's something you want to double down on. Maybe it's something you get butterflies and you have joy about. Maybe it's just simply like, I need some peace. Maybe it's let go. Maybe it's surrender. What is it that you want to create in the next 40 whatever minutes with us? You can write it down, you can put it in the comments, but get intentional about what you're creating in the next little bit so you can nail it. That's what we're talking about today, right? Okay, everybody wrote their intention. Write it in the chat if you want to. The more vulnerable you are and writing stuff in the chat, the more likely you are to create it. It's just, it's kind of a law. So if you want to do that, awesome. I want to ask you, when you hear the word luck, what do you think of? Like, just don't overthink it. What do you think of when you think luck? Unmute yourself and just say some words. What comes to mind? Like, I think of like lottery when I hear luck. What do you think of?
It doesn't take any skill to be lucky.
Okay, love it.
Easy.
Easy. No skill, easy. What else? How do you feel when you hear the word luck? Does it feel exciting to you? Kind of. Go, Tiff, go.
So my husband has always told me that luck is hard work and opportunity coming together at the same time. And if you're not ready, pass you by. So he's like, there is really no such thing as luck. You have to be prepared. And when that opportunity comes, recognize it and grab it. And that's what makes luck. You say like someone, oh, so lucky that you got in early on that, whatever. They were ready. They saw the opportunity, they were prepared, and they took it. So that's what I think. He said that always.
So beautiful. Who else? Anyone else have anything to share about luck? Okay. All right. To me, honestly, when I think of luck, I think it's just a particular result. It's just like, oh, they got lucky. Oh, you know, whatever. It's like something specific. It's a result, right? That's me. I want to teach you something that literally is a game changer. And I want you to write this down. Maybe you've heard it. Hear it with new eyes, ears, everything. Hear it with new eyes. Did you know your eyes can hear? See it with new eyes and hear it with new ears right now. There's this thing called conscious creation. Do you know what that is, guys? Anyone know what conscious creation is? It's my belief that we're co-creators with God, with the universe, whatever the truth is for you, that there's a higher power that we get to co-create with. I believe, this is just Christy's belief, that it's not just one or the other. It's not just us. It's not just us hustling our way to create a result. And it's not just the universe or God. Like, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. How many of you have seen The Secret, that movie? Do you remember? It was like kind of big. So a lot of people misunderstood that, and they would like fart noise about it and be like, oh, sure. You just say like, I'm going to be a millionaire. And then you're just a millionaire, right? Like, obviously that's not reality. It's my belief that we are co-creators, that it's a two components coming together. Yes, there's a higher power, in my opinion. There's universe, there's God, there's energy. Everything's energy. And we live in an energetic universe, and we get the choice of how we utilize that power. That's my belief. So we are always co-creating with God. That's why sometimes when I hear people say, I'm just going to wait on God's timing, I'm like, oh, don't wait on God. He's waiting on you. Like, did you see me just have a freak out? I just had a little seizure. When I'm on a stage and I talk about it, I start jumping up and down because it makes me crazy. Are there sometimes times where we get to wait on God? Yes or no? Heck, yes. We do not have full control. It's my belief. But also, I believe we have a lot more control over our own luck than we are aware of. I believe that God gives us choice, and he also gives us accountability. This is a tool. Picture like a screwdriver. You can use a tool, okay, and you can get something accomplished. A screwdriver. Is a screwdriver a good tool? Yeah. Are you going to be able to put an IKEA bed together with a screwdriver? Maybe. That crap is no joke. You got to have a degree in IKEA assembly, right? But what if you had a piece of furniture or something that you were creating and you had a power drill? How much more powerful are you going to be with a power drill instead of a screwdriver? Are you with me? Do they both have the same purpose? Can they both create the same result? To me, it's choice. So you ask yourself, would you rather use a screwdriver to create something, or would you rather use a power drill to create something? Ask yourself and maybe comment, which one sounds more fun and effective? A power drill or a screwdriver? Which one is going to make your arms more sore? Are you with me on that? Okay, so I want you to think about this co-creative, conscious, creative power like that. There's no shame in it. It's not about right, wrong. It's not about I'm not good. It's not about shaming yourself. It's just realizing, oh my gosh, there's a different tool I can pick up. I've been using a screwdriver. Okay, but there's actually this thing called a power drill. And I think my wrist might actually not get as sore if I pick up a different tool. Are you with me on that? So when you shift from being an unconscious reactor, do you know what that is? An unconscious reactor. So there's this power. It's kind of like gravity. How many of you believe that gravity works? Raise your arm if you think gravity is the true story and that if you drop something, it will fall. Do you guys believe in the power of gravity? Yes, you do? Katie doesn't. Raise your hand if you believe in gravity. She's like, Christy, leave me alone. Okay, here's the question. Does it matter if you believe in gravity or not? Does that matter? Is gravity care if you believe in it or not? No? If I drop my phone, will it fall? Yes? Okay. But what if Katie doesn't believe in gravity? Will it still fall? Okay. Yes, this is the power I'm talking about. The universe, God, does not really care if you use a screwdriver or a power drill. The power is always at work. This conscious creative power is an energetic power that's always at play. We're always creating. Did you know that? You are always creating. I'm always creating. It's just a matter if we are unconscious about it. We're not aware that we are creating, or we're conscious. So I want you to write this down on your paper. Unconscious reactor. That's someone who's like, I don't believe in that power. No, things happen to me. Those people got lucky. I have nothing to do with my results. It's all their fault, right? And sometimes we shift into that, and there's no shame in that. Unconscious reactor versus, yes, victim mentality, exactly, versus conscious creator. Or I would say conscious co-creator, because I believe it's a two-component process with me and God, me and the universe, right? So those two things, really, I want you to start to see things that way. Someone that believes in luck is probably an unconscious reactor because they don't understand their power. They have a screwdriver and they think that they are powerless to create, right? Does that make sense? So when you start to realize, oh my gosh, I could be a conscious creator. I could make my own luck. You put down the freaking screwdriver and you're like, zoom, zoom, like what? I can actually create. And you start to show up differently. Did you guys write those two things? Unconscious reactor. So an unconscious reactor is someone where a circumstance happens and they are in the circumstance blaming or making excuses or just simply not recognizing that they had a part in creating the circumstance. That's an unconscious, they're reacting. They're not causing something to happen. They're reacting to whatever happens. So you've heard like the thermostat. They're not setting the thermostat. They're simply like being reactive to whatever the temperature is. They're not setting it, okay? But then a conscious co-creator is someone that understands that they have the power, a power drill. So any circumstance that happens, they understand that they are a conscious creator, so they wouldn't be experiencing it unless they somehow had something to do with it. Does that make sense? We're going to get into this a little bit more. Are you seeing? Someone tell me a takeaway that you're hearing about unconscious reactor versus conscious creator. What's the biggest difference you see there? Someone share with me. I want to hear. Or like something that you're thinking about or coming up. You can unmute, you can chat. I want to hear from someone.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I have been both, and I think that we all have been both. And now that I've done this business for a while, I can look back and I can see the times when I was one or the other, right? And it's interesting because when I'm a conscious creator, I'm always growing. And when I'm not, that's usually when I start to feel stuck, right? And sometimes I am a conscious creator and I'm not growing because not everything is in our control, right? Like sometimes I'm maintaining just because some things are out of my control and my points aren't moving forward, but I'm still maintaining because I am creating. But what I will say, there was like a moment, and I can't even pinpoint the moment, but I reached out to you and it was like the first realization I had that I was a conscious creator. And you were like, babe, you're a conscious creator. And I was like, yeah, I feel it. And I was like so excited. Sorry, I kind of lost my voice from all the traveling. But I will just say that like we're all capable of both. And it just takes kind of honing in on our special unique abilities and our powers, because we're all gonna, when we're in a conscious creating mentality, we're all gonna do it in a little bit different way, right? Like it's gonna look differently for all of us. And we don't have to be like, well, I have to do it exactly like Christy to be doing that. No, it's like you finding your own unique abilities and strengths and honing into that. And then that lifts your vibe, you know, like you actually have that vibration in your body and it attracts certain people to you. And I really feel that there's also like this lower vibration that we have when we're not consciously creating. And so like I hear a lot of my builders, they'll be like, well, what are you doing? Tell me what to do. And like a lot of it is like this certain vibration that we have when we're moving forward that people feel, right? Like when you're white knuckling it and you're just trying so hard and you just want movement and you just want control. And people feel that like subconsciously, even though you don't think they do, you think you're good at hiding it. But like I guarantee you, like if you just take a deep breath in those moments when you can feel like you're white knuckling it, and like sometimes I'm just like, and I just let it out and I just make a conscious choice to be like, I am not gonna white knuckle this anymore. Like come what may, like I'm just gonna like let go and just act and just change my vibration. And I feel that shift and others feel that shift too. So I don't know if any of that makes sense to you, but that's kind of like what I have found, because I can feel now when I'm really white knuckling something, and then I can feel when I take that deep breath and I just sigh it away, and I can feel the shift in my energy, and I know others can feel that shift too. So
100%, Nicole, you just nailed it. It really is an energy, because do we believe in gravity? It doesn't matter. There's always energy at play. So we're always creating. It's just if we're conscious about it and intentional about it, or if we're unconscious. I want to show you something. When my office is done, I'm going to have like a whiteboard behind me. That's going to be really cool. But for now, I want you to look at this. What is that? It's a tree, right? Okay. You might have seen this before, but this I'm going to call for today the tree of creation. So if you want to be a conscious creator, this is a very simple concept. And it really is kind of like a beginner's guide to learning how to be a conscious creator. Because let's be honest, you guys, when you get more awareness, it's really easy to go into shame, isn't it? And be like, oh, I'm an unconscious reactor. Oh, I'm horrible. I'm a bad person, right? The truth is, reach around, right? Tell me, put your hand on your back, slide it down. Do you feel a butt crack? Yes or no? If you're new around here, you're like, Amanda's like, what are we doing? If you have a butt crack, guess what that means? That means you're a human and you're on earth. And guess what else that means? It means you're going to be an unconscious reactor till the day you die. You're going to have moments where you're like, oh, interesting. I went into unconscious reactive mode. It can be a shift that's moment to moment. When you recognize, you'll have a trigger, something will come up. It'll be a temptation for you to make a choice, and you go into unconscious reactor. And it'll be moment to moment sometimes. And then you realize that you've got this awareness. Oh, interesting. I am being a reactor. I'm not being a conscious creator. Does it serve anyone to shame yourself? Does it serve you to go, see, I'm not good at this because I'm an unconscious reactor? Does that serve anyone? Yes or no? It does not serve. It is not useful to shame yourself. So remove the shame about it. You will be an unconscious reactor till the day you die. At times, I will too. It's part of being a human on the earth. It's part of having a butt crack and having a body and just being in this human experience and having emotions. It's part of it. So write this on your paper. Compassion. Because new awareness can sometimes feel overwhelming. You learn something new and you're like, oh, see, there's more. Now I'm really not good because now I got this new awareness and I learned something that I'm sucking at. I suck, right? Do not go there. Everyone raise your right hand. Raise your right hand and say, I, and say your name, commit to not stay in shame. Okay, I commit to be compassionate in my human condition because I have a butt crack. That means I'm a human. Okay, so when you notice yourself being an unconscious reactor, just be curious about it. Interesting. Look what I did. That was super interesting. Just be an observer and let yourself be a human, okay? But it's about not staying there. Just like Nicole said, you can shift. This is a practice. It's like learning how to walk. Picture a baby that learns how to walk. They don't know what they're doing at first and they fall all the time. They have bumps all over their head because they're learning a new skill. You're going to be learning this new skill. It's going to take you some practice to get good at it. Let yourself fall. Let yourself stand back up. Be good at it eventually, but you're not going to be good at it right away, and that is okay. Okay, so here's our tree. This is the tree of creation, the tree of creation. Right here, the roots. I want you to write this on your paper because it's very simple and it's very clear. The roots are beliefs, and I want to say stories, because in my experience, so the roots are beliefs or stories. Sometimes we have really deep rooted beliefs that come from childhood, that come from trauma. Maybe they come from like something that's really deeply rooted into our identity sometimes. But honestly, sometimes you'll get awareness and you're like, dude, that's just a story. And guess what? Those things can shift fast. They don't always shift fast. I am in therapy and I will be till the day I die. I believe in that, right? So I'm working on these things constantly. Some of those beliefs take time to shift because they're deeply rooted. But sometimes they're fast and they're just like, dude, I didn't even know I was believing that. That was just a story. That was just like an unconscious story. So be open to, sometimes they're quick and they can shift fast. Sometimes they take more time. But what's the magic word? It starts with a C. I want to see all of your mouths. Compassion. If it's one that takes time, don't you dare start shaming yourself. You be patient with yourself. And you say, look at you, babe. You've got new awareness. This is awesome. I'm learning how to walk. Picture a baby. How freaking cute. Their arms are up like this and they're like ding, 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 like trying to walk. Picture yourself as that little baby that's trying to walk and learn a new skill. Would you go over to a baby that falls and be like, you're never going to be able to walk. You should probably just stop. Walking isn't for you. Like, would you ever do that? No. So picture baby Kelly like this. I got this new awareness. I want to be a conscious creator. Okay, you're going to fall, but you've got to be patient with yourself and give yourself compassion. Okay, so there's beliefs and stories here at the roots. Those roots dictate the entire tree, don't they? Okay, right here, the trunk is actions. Because when you have a belief or a story, that is going to move, it's going to motivate and create action. Okay, and those actions are going to yield something. The fruit is a word that starts with R. What is it? Results. Okay, so the fruit is simply the results that came from either a belief or a story. Then you took action on that and you yielded a result. It's simple. So luck, right? I talked about how it's a result. A result comes from a root. Does fruit just grow without a seed? Nope, it doesn't, okay? So the fruit is the results. Did you write this, you guys? I want you to see this. It's very simple. Okay, so here's the cool part, you guys. Right now, you probably have some fruit in your life that you're like, you know, I don't really love that. And maybe you didn't realize that you were somehow creating it. But the best news ever, if it's something you are experiencing, and we're going to touch on this in a minute, you somehow had something to do with this. Somehow. Okay, and there's always exceptions. Please don't like think of the most horrible thing and go, see, I didn't create that. There's always exceptions. But for the most part, everything that you're experiencing in your reality, your results, any fruit that you have in your life stems from either a belief or a story that you have, or else it wouldn't be in your reality. Okay, so this is empowering. Yes, go ahead.
I was just talking about this the other day with Katie in Orlando. And so one of my best friends is a therapist. And so I just love all the gems I get from her all the time. She talks about that subconscious that you're talking about. Same thing. She likens it to like a little tape recorder. And our subconscious mind, we have this little tape recorder and it's going all the time, 24/7 since birth, right? And so she said every time, and we do, because of these beliefs and these stories, trauma from our childhood, whatever it is, this tape recorder is always going.
Yep.
And she said with the key, and because it does take time to stop yourself when you find yourself being negative about yourself or whatever it is, the key is being aware. And when you hear yourself saying, whatever it is, I'm so terrible, I'm never going to whatever, to stop. And you're trying to reset the recorder, you're trying to re-record a new thing. And so if you're telling yourself, you know, you're awful business builder or whatever, stop, re-record. I'm a business builder. I'm a bad A, whatever it is you need to tell yourself, and you tell it over and over. And every time you catch yourself, stop, re-record. And it takes some time, but I love that analogy that it's you're supposed to do that, and you just need to re-record and reset it, and it takes time.
I love that. And Tiffany, in fact, that goes super well with what I wanted to say. So this is awareness about I got to get the chat to work here. It's just showing me participants. Hold on. Because I want to see. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is cool. And now you've got this new awareness, and now maybe your mind is blown and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on in my results that I have some sort of story about? I want to encourage you to kind of just be aware of it. Don't go too deep dive right now. Just kind of have this new awareness. But the cool part is when you start to flip it and you're like, all right, I want this certain result. And you know, this is not new for most of you that have been around, but if you're new, we have a lot of new people here. When you get clear on a result, Kimberly and I had a really beautiful conversation about this on the plane. Guys, we sat by each other. We didn't even plan it. Talk about like a serendipity. I had butterflies and we talked the entire time. It was so fun. And Carl just didn't. It was fun. Carl was like against the window and we're just chatting it up. Okay, but we were basically talking about how the results that she's experiencing right now in her life are literally a manifestation or the result of a vision and some clarity and some beliefs and stories that she intentionally created years ago. So she reverse engineered this and she was like, Kate, someday I want to be a diamond. And I remember having coaching calls that were pretty emotional, that were super awesome when this was not her reality. Ooh, I have chills. She was not in financial freedom. She was struggling hard. Her relationship was not there. She didn't have her sweetheart, Carl, in her life. Her relationships were different. She was not in the situation that she's in. Her leadership was not even close to where it is now. But she had a vision and she created stories and beliefs and all of these things to support that life that she wanted to create. So she's like, I want financial freedom. She got specific. Write this down. The more specific you get with the results that you want to experience, the more you will create it. The universe, God, that greater power, loves clarity and being specific. So what are the results you want? Maybe write for a minute. Maybe something's touching your heart and there's no right or wrong. And it's not according to Christy. This is where I want you to tap into you. What the freak do you want? What I want is different from what you want. But what results do you actually want in your health, in your relationships, in your finances, with your kids, if you have kids, in your experiences, in your ability to give? What is it that you want? If you have no idea what results you want, if you have no idea what fruit you want to grow on a tree, what's the likelihood that you're going to get that fruit? You got to know which seed to plant. Am I right? You got to get clear. What do you actually want? We're going to take a pause for a minute and I'll get back to this. I want you to take 1 minute and just brainstorm and heartstorm. Let yourself just dump about this. Okay? Right. What do you want? Maybe it's a now thing, maybe it's a forever thing, or maybe it's like a down the road thing. Don't overthink it. Just let your heart write. What the heck do you want? Do you want peace? Do you want abundance? Do you want confidence? Do you want to help others? Do you want freedom? What about in your health? How about like your car, your house, the clothes you wear? What is it you want? Get specific. The more specific you get with this, like what car is it? What smells do you smell? What food do you eat in this life that you want or the results that you want? Or what do you actually want to do? Do you want to go on a vacation? Maybe you'll say, oh, I want to get out of debt. Well, why? What do you want to do with that money? Or what emotions do you want to feel? Where do you want to go on vacation? What do you actually want to do on vacation? With who? Get specific. Okay, 10 more seconds. We're just going to do some seeds here that you can finish up. Okay. Okay, I want you to leave some space so you can come back and keep adding to this, okay? But back to this, you guys, when you know this and you can simply reverse engineer it and you ask yourself, okay, that version of me that has these results, what actions does she take? What actions does she not take? Get clear on that. What do I get to add to my life? Maybe what do I get to not be doing any more of? That version of me that has these results, how's she showing up? What's she actually doing with her time every day? Write some of these things down. How about the beliefs and the stories? The girl that has those results, or the guy, whoever it is listening, what stories and beliefs do they have about themselves? How are they talking to themselves? How are they not talking to themselves? Is there a story that you feel is holding you back? What do you get to let go of in order to step into this? Because maybe there's something that is a big story that you're hanging on to that you get to let go of in order to produce this kind of fruit, the results that you want. Okay? Okay, we're going to touch on this really quick. Guys, we could talk for 10 hours about this stuff. Dude, ooh, I love it. And I would love to hear more from you, but I'm going to just do a touch on with a couple of things. We're going to talk about accountability. How many of you, your bum goes a little bit when you hear the word accountability? Like, oh, it feels uncomfortable, maybe a little bit. I honestly feel like sometimes that word is misunderstood. In my experience, it's simply taking back your power. Because when you understand this, and you understand that nothing would be in your experience that you didn't somehow create, it's kind of exciting. For me, when there's stuff outside my control that I feel like I had nothing to do with creating, you're powerless then. But when you have accountability and you start to realize that you somehow had something to do with creating that outcome, guess what that means? You have something to do with creating something different. It's magic. When you freaking take ownership and accountability for everything in your life, everything, even the stuff that's uncomfortable, with massive compassion, you start to step into conscious creation and not unconscious reactor. I'm recently divorced and I have had my heart shattered in a million pieces. I mean, it's not my story to tell, but there's a lot of situations where I could give all my power away because of some choices, okay? And I could dwell on that. I could make it mean something about me. I could be angry and stay angry. I am angry. Do not mistake me. There are moments where I am angry. It's okay, isn't it? This is when I love me some Slipknot. Lisa Olson, do you still love me? I love Slipknot. She's like, Christy Jax, you're crazy. That's a valuable lesson. Allow yourself to feel the feels. Do I feel angry at times? Heck yes. Do I stay angry? Heck no. No. I choose to feel the feels, allow it. That's the most beautiful thing. So please write this down. Allow all the emotions, all of them, without shame. I grossly misunderstood for a lot of years that I wasn't supposed to feel anger. How many of you have bought into that BS that it's wrong to feel angry? Dude, if you have a butt crack, you're gonna feel angry at times. And if you shame it, all it does is make it last longer. And it makes you sick because internally you start to manifest the anger in other ways. It has to come out. So the bottom line is, I'm walking this stuff out right now, but when I take full accountability and I look at it and ask these 4 questions, I want you to write this down. Number 1, accountability is understanding it's never about the other person or the circumstance. Take a breath. So it's really easy when we are an unconscious reactor to blame isn't it? And to tell our drama stories and our victim stories about how it's all the other person's fault. And we just keep telling everyone the victim story, and we keep staying angry and staying victim mentality and staying powerless. Are you with me? Because we just want to be right about this victim situation. But number one is, it's never about the other person or about the circumstance. But remember that C word, and just keep breathing. Just keep breathing. If this feels uncomfortable, it's okay. Number two, how did I contribute to, cause, create, or allow this? Number two is, you ask yourself, how did I contribute to, how did I cause this, create this, or allow this? This is stuff I learned at Impact Trainings like in 2008. This simple model has changed my life. And it takes practice, and it feels a little uncomfortable at first because we just so badly want to be blaming other people, but that does not make us a conscious creator. Number three.
Christy,
go ahead.
Will you repeat number two again, please?
Heck yeah. How did I contribute to, cause, create, or allow this? Sometimes we simply allowed something and we didn't speak up. Are you with me? The second, write this down, the second we have awareness, we are accountable. The second we have something in our awareness, we are then accountable. So for example, if you're walking down the street and someone drops a water bottle in front of you on the ground, like an empty water bottle, and you just walk by, you're accountable that you didn't pick up litter that you saw. Does it mean you have to go around like being codependent and solving other people's problems? Of course not. But it means as soon as something comes into your sphere of awareness, you're then accountable for it. So can you see how this accountability goes way further than we think it does, right? Number three, what is my specific lesson here? You take a look and you're like, oh my goodness, I allowed that to go on and I didn't speak up. So my specific lesson is I get to speak up, right? You get clear on exactly what you learned from the situation. Number four, is everyone ready? What am I committed to moving forward? It's not, the wording is important here. What am I committed to moving forward? When you're a conscious creator, you'll notice you start using different words. Committed to is different than I promise or I'm gonna. Do you know what I mean? Committed to is my butt's on the line and I am my word. This is what I'm committed to moving forward. Okay? And you get clear on it. In relationships, you guys, now hear me. Oh my gosh, I wasn't gonna say this, but you gotta hear me. When you use this model, these 4 questions, before you talk to your spouse or your partner or a child or a sibling or a mom or anyone that you might have conflict with, you go through this and you say, I wanted to make it all their fault. And I wanted to come out the gates raging and be like, you shouldn't have done that. And you did this. Just picture for a minute how beautiful your interaction would be if you ran what you were about to say to someone through this filter. Dude, I'll tell you what happens. Connection, healing. It's so beautiful. I have chills. I don't always respond this way. I would never pretend to, but I know the times that I do, I grow closer to the person. And guess what? What do you think it's going to prompt the other person to do? We don't get to use this and say, I was accountable. Now you need to be accountable. That's not what I'm saying. But what do you think it would feel like to be on the other end of a conversation like this? If someone approached you and said, you know what? I can see that I caused this to happen by doing this and this and that. Here's what I learned from it. And this is what you can count on for me moving forward. This is what I'm committed to. Dude, what are they going to do? What do you think? How are they going to feel to be on the other end of that instead of you coming out the gates just, right? Ready to just pound on them. Okay? So that's the accountability formula that is so dang powerful. When you practice this with massive what, I want every one of you to see what's the C word that you absolutely follow up. Any accountability, any awareness, what do you follow it up with? Major compassion. Don't you dare start shaming yourself. Put the beat up stick away. That's not what we do here. It's just baby steps. It's tiny little steps at a time. Okay. This is so much. I could talk for days about accountability, but we're going to move on. All right. I want you to write down something. We have 10 minutes and we're going to just nail this. 2 things I want to do. Oh, there's so much more. I'm going to do 2 things. Okay. Actually, hold on. No.
Christy,
Okay. Go ahead.
What was the step? What have you learned from it? Is that what it was on the third?
It's what's my specific lesson.
Okay.
Here.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay. 2 things. I want you to write down. Number one is a current stressor in your life that you feel like is constantly on your mind or causing you stress. Number 1. Number 2, I want you to write down something you're excited to create that you're feeling nudges about, or something that's just on your mind and you're like, oh, I just can't wait to do that. Or, oh, I want to do that. Maybe it's a rank. Maybe it's somebody you want to talk to. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe it's an exercise regimen. Maybe it's a self-care thing. Maybe it's a conversation with your spouse. Maybe it's something with your kids, something you're excited to create. Okay. So I want to give you permission to write about number 1. I'm going to give you 60 seconds, something that's currently stressing you out. And I want to help you. I want to guide you to practice going from unconscious reactor with that specific thing in your life to conscious creator. Okay. We're going to just walk out just what it might look like. 60 seconds. Dump your brain and heart about the stressful thing that will not let you go. What's on your mind constantly? The thing that you're like, dude, Okay. Write. Don't overthink it. Don't white knuckle it. Just write. How are you feeling? What are the circumstances around it? Any key words? Maybe there's a message for you that you know is there that you've been avoiding. Maybe there's something that you're afraid to talk about. Just dump your heart out around that. Okay, 10 seconds. What are you afraid of most? What are you avoiding with this? Okay, wrap it up. Ooh, at 1:11 in the song. All right. Okay. I want you to make a little graph on your paper. I want you to write a line, get a brand new piece of paper. Okay, draw a line down the middle like this. Okay, I want on one side, put outside my control. On the other side, within my control. Okay, I want you to take a minute. And I want you just to dump about this. With that specific situation, I want you to write what's outside my control. And then if it's something that is within your control around it, write it out. I'll give you an example, but I want you writing while I'm talking because I want this to pertain to you and your specific situation. I have a child who is majorly resisting school. That's like an understatement. Like it's a lot, like major resistance, white knuckling, shutting down. And that's an opportunity for me to go into unconscious reactive, right? It's an opportunity for me to maybe white knuckle a little bit and try to like cause a result so that I can feel something, feel peaceful, feel like I'm in control. So this is something that I'm going to do myself for that specific situation. If this child decides to completely resist school, do I have control? Do I have full control over that? I don't. Do I have control over if he does his homework or not? If he does his credit recovery or not? Do I have control over that ultimately? Do I have control over if he signs up for driver's ed or not? No, right? What do I have control over in that situation? I have control over how I energetically approach him about it, the energetic messages I'm sending him. I have control over the words I use. And again, if you go back to this, what's the result I want with this specific situation? And ask yourself, with this specific situation, what is the result that I'm after? What do I actually want? It's not an outcome result. With me, it's how do I want this child to feel around me and my attitude with this? I want him to feel loved, supported, learn boundaries, learn hard work. But there's not a lot of that that's within my control, right? So when you start to say, okay, that's the result I want, that version of me, what are the stories she believes? What are the actions that she takes to support that actual result, right? Okay, so when you start to realize there's a whole bunch of stuff, if I had time, I would like go through this with someone so you can actually see it. But when you realize if you're focusing on all the things outside your control, how are you going to feel? Unmute and tell me some words. If you're always focusing on with this specific stressful situation you talked about or you wrote down, how are you going to feel if you're always focusing on everything outside your control?
Helpless.
Helpless.
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. How about anxious? Frantic, maybe? Like, how's your vibration going to be? Is it going to be like flowy and just like beautiful? No. So when you get conscious, when you are an unconscious reactor, you realize you are actually attaching your wellness and your energetic vibe to a specific outcome. That's why you are a reactor. I will only be happy if I get this specific result that is outside my control. You are then a victim to that situation. So that situation you wrote down, I want you to ask yourself, how would the conscious creator, me, show up in this situation? Knowing that you don't have full control over the results, but getting clarity around what you do have control over. When your focus is what's within your control and you're nailing it intentionally, how are you going to feel? Tell me, somebody unmute. How are you going to feel when you are intentional about how you're showing up and focusing on what's within your control? How are you going to feel?
Empowered.
Empowered. I love that. How about peaceful? You know what? Most humans that I know just want peace for the love of everything that's holy. Right? Are you going to feel more peaceful if you're focusing on what's within your control? And guess what else that makes you? A conscious creator. Right? You're not white knuckling the stuff outside your control. Okay. I want you to look back through. Maybe there's something that you wrote down in that situation that you can take action on. So look back to where you jotted down some ideas about that current situation that's kind of bringing you stress. Look for a message. Maybe there's one thing that you can do that you can actually take action on. And you're like, if I just did that one thing, I could cause a different result. I could show up as a conscious creator. There's one thing there that you do have control over. Or there's one thing that you're like, oh, that's something I can have control over. And I can show up that way. I want you to circle it. That's your next step. I want to give you a little tip about that. You'll hear me say that's your next step a lot. That is something that you can wrap your heart around. If you wrote be the president of the United States on that piece of paper and you're like, yep, Christy, that's it. And you circled it. Is that your next step? Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe you have skills that you're hiding from us. But most likely your next step is going to be something that makes you go, yeah, I can do that. Not, oh, that feels overwhelming. If that thing you circled makes you go, break it down even more. It's got to be something that you're like, I can do that. Then circle it. That's your next step. And I want to challenge you to take that next step. We were going to do the same thing for something that you're excited about. So number 2, Do the same thing with yourself. So now you've learned how to do it. Just let yourself brainstorm for 60 seconds. What's that thing you're excited about that you want to create? Brainstorm about it. And then I want you to make a list right here. The same thing about number 2. What's outside my control and what's within my control? It could maybe even just be 3 things on each side. It doesn't have to be massive. But then intentionally, with that thing you're excited about, put your focus on the things that are within your control. So you can feel peaceful, empowered. You can be in the flow. You can have that vibe that Nicole talked about, that energy that's attractive. And then look back through when you dumped your heart and your brain about it. Circle maybe one thing that's just your next step, your one action step. Okay? Okay, my friends, I wanted to share with you that truly this is the stuff. As you get intentional and aware about taking accountability for your experience with major compassion, right? Always. But then you pick up that power drill and you're like, oh yeah, it's going down for real. I'm going to start to actually create. I'm going to harness this power that I have. And you let yourself fall, let yourself practice, let yourself be not super good at it at first, but you kill it with consistent practice. You're going to turn into a magnet. You're literally going to turn into a magnet for those results that we talked about that you want. Kimberly is living, breathing proof. You will turn into a magnet for those things that you want to create in every area of your life. This is like universal truth. I'm just sharing with you like the Christy-isms that I have found to be super effective, but I promise you, you will become more peaceful, more empowered, and everything will start to work together for your good. Does that mean life stops lifing? Let's talk for a minute about that. Is everything just going to be like, I'm aligned, I'm a conscious creator. Now my life is roses and posies and rainbows and unicorns. Is that how it is? Jill, is that how it is, Jill? Heck no. That would mean you don't have a butt crack anymore because you're on the earth, you're a human, right? Lifes, you just get to pick up your power drill and you get to make choices and you get to be a conscious co-creator with God and the universe. Who's up to do the baby steps? Do the next steps. Are you open to do it? Like actually take action on those things that you wrote down. Are you guys open to that challenge? Okay, I'm doing it too with my specific situation. We're going to nail it together. Thanks for being here. I love you guys. Bye.